are bringing you special edition of AAU Talks, and we are live from the Alisa Hotel in Accra, Ghana, where the AAU Television is partnering with PASGA to host the Pedagogical Leadership Training, and that is the Western Hub session, where we have academics from Ghana and other universities in Nigeria as well. My name has always been Kwesi Sam, and today we are hosting one of our great vice chancellors on the continent, and want to take his input and then also find out from him what he makes of PEDAL and the way forward as well. Don't forget that you can join the conversation via our social media platforms, Association of African Universities on Facebook and AAU_67 on Twitter. We'll go for a short break, and when we return, I will let you know who my guest is. Stay tuned. If you just tuned in, we are still watching the special edition of AAU Talks brought to you by the AAU TV, and we are live from the Alisa Hotel, Accra, Ghana, where we are having the Pedagogical Leadership Training, the Western Hub session here at the hotel. And like I told you before we went for the break, we are hosting one of our great vice chancellors on the continent, and he is the Vice Chancellor, University of Ilorin, and this is the person of Professor Sulyman Abdulkareem. Prof, you're welcome to AAU Television.
Good afternoon.
Great. We are so much privileged to host you today.
Thank you.
And then, most importantly, talking about pedagogical leadership in Africa.
Please.
And having your presence as a Vice Chancellor encourages us much more.
Okay.
To start the conversation, during the official opening, I listened to you. You made a statement that was very much remarkable, which had to do with the fact that even in madness, that there must be methodology.
Yes.
And I found that intriguing. Can you just maybe share why you made such statement?
To elaborate on that, it is not an easy task to be a lecturer or a tutor or a teacher. You must prepare to give your very best to your students every time you go before them. And that is why I'm saying, even though it is sarcastic, that something so disarranged like madness, people are saying you need to have some way of going about it. If you go before a class and you are not prepared to give your very best, it's injustice academically. That's the way I want to consider it.
Okay.
Because each time a student comes before you, they have come for you to model their life, to improve their knowledge, and in a way, you must equally challenge yourself to make sure you meet that requirement of them by the time they spend 1 hour or many hours with you. Because if you go before a class and they either listen to you for many hours without getting anything, or you are not able to give the desired information to them or knowledge to them, and you leave, it's almost like you've deprived them a chance to improve themselves. So most disciplines beside education do not go into pedagogy. But the issue is that we all need to do that.
Okay.
Because whatever you are telling students, they must be able to assimilate it and be able to make useful outcome out of it. But unless you give it right or correctly, it's not very sure that you are going to get across to them the way you want.
Great. So, Prof, you've been an academic from the beginning.
For 24 years
For
now.
24 years, and we must congratulate you
Thank
on
you.
that, because it's not easy. So in terms of teaching and learning, even before PEDAL, can you just take us through what is the nature of teaching and learning in Africa, and how has it accounted for the unemployability of our graduates?
Well, I feel sorry for the continent Africa in the sense that I went through primary education in the 60s, secondary education in the 70s, and actually gained admission into the university middle of the 70s.
Okay.
That time, our education system was very very successfully run. I guess the reason was because we did not have many students that time. And so the provisions were sufficient to give us very decent education, so that most of us that left our continent for overseas were able to do well. A few students are still able to do that today, but I've seen that the level of education at the primary and secondary level have gone down so much that unless a student wants to improve himself personally, chances are coping will be very, very difficult. I'm saying that because I went to a secondary school that had all the laboratory equipment you can imagine to do our work. And if I go back to the same secondary school today, they don't have 100th of what we had then. And yet, science courses are being taught. Students are going through laboratories without having all the provisions that we had when we went through the same secondary school education. Yes, the excuse would be that the population of students has increased. Yes, but government must be willing or must feel challenged to give the empowerment needed for students, because anything worth doing, as we say, is worth doing well. You don't want to give incomplete education to somebody who is going to have to compete globally. So I believe our problem is that the commitment, the ingenuity brought into play when we were going through education 40 years ago is not there today. And therefore, somebody must be willing, starting from the government level to the home or parent level, to give these students what they need, because it is more competitive today. We are saying we don't have enough jobs in Africa, but people from elsewhere are still coming to compete with the few jobs that we have. So they must prepare our students so that wherever the competition, they can survive in a very diverse atmosphere.
Great. So, Prof, then that brings in PEDAL, because PEDAL seeks to do same. You have been through the sessions, some of them. Today's the 5th day. What has been your personal assessment?
My personal assessment is that I'm seeing what I had seen when I was in school in the 60s, and what I saw definitely when I was abroad. Because see, lecturers come and they give you all the examples you can imagine when they are taking any topic with you. And what we must do further is not only give information to students, but actually tell them what they can use it for. I think lecturers need to do extra work on what is available today in today's knowledge-based atmosphere. Pick what is relevant in the environment. Give it to these students so that you not only give them knowledge, but what they can use that knowledge to do. Because you will see that most of us, after we set off and you give us enough time, we not only get to be expert in whatever we are doing, we're able to do it with ease, without fear again. But getting over that first hunch of challenge, it is the lecturer's duty to make sure that all that is given is pointed in the direction in which it can be used. If that is done, it's going to reduce the tension and the challenges to some extent. And I think that is what PEDAL is doing with us lecturers now. They are better preparing us on how to dish out the knowledge we want to give to our students.
Great. So in terms of cascading PEDAL to all the universities in Nigeria and even on the continent as well, as a Vice Chancellor, what are some of the strategies that you think PASGA must adopt in making sure that the good news that is happening here gets to every university?
It was only one lecturer from my university that was involved with PEDAL. And we met in the airport and he told me what he had gone through. And I said, that would be something useful for the whole university. And on that account, I'm invited here. I want to tell you that I've been here for about 5 days session with them, and it has been the best 1 week of this year, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm seeing lecturers do things I expect of lecturers. And if we're able to carry it beyond this point to all the lecturers in the universities, in my university, in Nigeria and Africa, we will see a tremendous change in the output or outcome of the graduates that we are dishing out of universities.
Great. And so one of the take-homes, or we're having an interaction session, and a participant told us that and he had just come out of the innovative assessment, which had to do with taking into consideration various components of assessment. Then he tells us in his university, it is 70 for examination, 30 for classwork. And so it was going to be very difficult for him to adapt some of these things. Do you think that universities must be a bit flexible to adapt to some of these new changes that we are proposing?
Well, if you go back to where I got educated, US, the ratio is actually opposite.
Okay.
In other words, before the final exams, if you are going to make an A in a class, you already know.
Okay.
The reason is that we are continuously tested. And we were talking about assessment this morning, and I told them, assessment is not something you do monthly. In every class, and that is where I'd like to teach. When I'm teaching you, I'm asking questions. And immediately I lose you. I know I'm in trouble as a lecturer. Why? Because knowledge is supposed to be cumulative, and if you miss any gap in between, the structure you are going to end up with will not be a good one.
Yes.
So it is good that a lecturer realizes when he's able to carry the whole class along and when he loses them. And you see that immediately I lose my class, I get worried because I now have to find a way to connect from where they last understood what I was saying. So, but you see, every time you leave a class, it's almost like, and I told one of the resource people that I'm proud of being African. When we were young, old men would tell you, I'm going to tell you story of so. In the beginning, they will tell you what it's all about. But at the end, you remember the way we always end our story. What have you learned in this story?
Sure.
Now, that is exactly the way we are taught in US. You will know why you are taking this lecture for these 2 hours or 3 hours. And at the end, even before the end, he's asking you questions. At the end, the lecturer will now say that, I hope I've been able to convey this message to you. And if he has not been able to, look, people are told to be very bold. Yeah. And that is probably the difference between our students and foreign students too.
You're right.
Our students are too timid. Maybe because these lecturers are wicked, I don't know. But the issue is, the man has come to teach me. If he has not delivered, I should be able to let him know. But lecturers are so powerful in the African setting that you can't challenge them. You can't even correct them even when they are wrong, which is unfortunate because only God knows everything. When a mistake is made, believe me, students have to keep quiet because if they correct some lecturers, they are in trouble. Great. So those things, I think, are the dynamics we must change in African education. In other words, make our students be participant enough in lecture room that they walk away feeling very much part of the education and the knowledge passing that has gone on.
Great. So, Prof, you are part of NUC, or the Vice Chancellors in Nigeria. Yes. So, as you go back from this training, is there any strategic means you are going to adopt to make sure that the VCs in Nigeria get to know the good news that you have, and then we try to bring the entire universities together to know PEDAL and adopt it as well?
Now, University of Ibadan, the pioneer university in Nigeria, today I was boasting of having trained over 300 students within my resources at home. I want to see how many I can quickly train too.
Great.
And the idea is not just to train them. If they are trained and they are able to become trainers, it is something that I can spread contagiously, but in this case, in a good manner, so that other people realize that they must get the pattern, the methodology of getting information across to students right, so that more people are able to learn from them and be able to make the university proud of the products at the end.
Great. So we'll go for a short break, and when we return, we'll be looking at, do we think PEDAL training will bring a significant change in the learning outcomes?
It should.
And will it be able to make our students better than they are now?
It should.
And what we must do
it should, because
as a way forward?
Actually, I've gone to classrooms. Well, I'm a double-time Vice Chancellor.
Okay.
I was the Vice Chancellor in the private university. I came back. For 2 years, I lectured. And those 2 years, one of my students that I trained as far back as 1998 has come to become a lecturer in my department now.
I see.
And I ask him each time I'm lecturing to sit down. Though he has been through my lectures before, but he's now co-lecturer with me in all the courses I take. So if I go for lectures, he follows me. If I go for laboratory demonstration, he follows me. And in the middle of the semester, we change role. I now begin to watch what he's able to do
Okay.
to complete the lecture for me. And in a way, symbiotically, we have worked together. We publish together. We do experiments together. We even have patterns together.
I see.
Because now, if I have an idea, I can wake up in the morning and say, look, Dr. Adeniyi, this is what I think you should do, try this, and it's giving me a constant feedback.
Great.
And the mentoring is able to develop in him the confidence. Look, among his peers, I don't think he has any match. But the issue is that I'm happy inside because I see a younger Abdulkareem growing up.
Okay.
To continue the legacy wherever I live.
All right. So viewers, we'll go for a short break, and when we return, we will still hear from Prof. What is the way forward for PEDAL in Africa as well? This is still AAU TV. Keep watching.
Whenever I'm asked why I love University of Ilorin, a couple of reasons come to mind. One of the most important ones is the fact that the school is violence-free. Autism is a big deal in universities, and then the school has tried so hard to keep the school safe, and now students can walk around the environment any time of the day and still feel safe, and they know that nothing is going to come to them.
Coming to the University of Ilorin, I never expected the lecturers to be approachable, because stories I've heard from other institutions in Nigeria, the lecturers are really not approachable. But coming here, when I have academical issues or problems, they are very well approachable, and they would help you with whatever problems you have.
I love the University of Ilorin because there are a lot of departments and faculties, hence a lot of students, but the population has been very well managed because we have a lot of places to sit, we have a lot of places to hang out when we're not having our lectures.
The way university was made to look was like it's going to be so difficult and so hard to understand. I didn't even know what the course unit was. But coming into the University of Ilorin, everything became so easy because there were so many orientation programs. My first week in school, there was one for the department. Later on, there was another one for the faculty. Another one's even outside school. So these things made adaptation to school so easy for me. And you know, the lecturers have been so approachable. And security has been at its peak. I've not had to be bothered about, you know, getting robbed or getting approached by cultists. Everything has been so easy for me. So I think this and so many other things provided by the university has made learning a beautiful experience for me in my first year.
Welcome back from the break. If you just tuned in, you are still watching AAU Television, and this is a special edition coming to you from Alisa Hotel, and this is the PEDAL edition as well. And we are hosting Professor Abdulkareem, the Vice Chancellor of University of Ilorin. So, Prof, finally, before we let you go, we want to hear from you. What do you think is the future for African higher education in terms of teaching and learning?
Well, I believe if we match the God-given ability that most Africans have with attitude to achieve, which I believe is what I noticed best in Western lecturers. They all want to be achievers. They want to be proud to say that this person went through me. If we can develop that aptitude or attitude, and we are able to challenge our students to equally live up and be are committed to what we are about to do, I have no doubt that the glorious days that we used to have of African students will return. And people will see more reason to be committed to achievement than we have now. Too many times are wasted on condemning ourselves now because we lack so many things that I believe if the pedagogical program that I'm attending now is able to spread beyond one university to many universities in Africa, to all universities in Africa. At the end of the day, what we will have is a reason not to go abroad to get desired education. There will be people committed to what they are doing and able to provide it here on the continent, rather than we going to France or all over the country to look for knowledge that we can give ourselves here.
Great.
I believe there will be need for governments, even continental bodies like AAU, to come in and see a reason and see goodness in what is being planted here, and let it grow to something that we all can be proud of.
Great. So, Prof, in the next few months, if we are coming to University of Ilorin to follow up what has come out of PEDAL, what should we expect?
I intend to commence formation of a committee that will work with the lead person that actually dropped my name for invitation here, and let's see how young lecturers and even some old ones like me that are willing to learn, because there's no end to be born again or to learn. So they should will constitute a team that will start funding on a regular and internal basis. That I believe that if you come and we're able to get external help, we can broaden to a larger extent. But right now, there is no need to let this momentum die at any time. We have to go back and commend everybody to the effort that I've learned over here.
Great. So, Prof, this is your camera. We are speaking to all vice chancellors in Africa, and you are just telling them why they must join the PEDAL paradigm.
Well, as I've said in my discussion with you, this has been the best 1 week I spent this year. It's a week of learning. It's a week of discovery for me. And I believe every vice chancellor that means well for his or her own university will buy into this and let everybody be able to attain the goodness in this program to benefit the universities that we all run.
Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be following up on you at the
much.
University of Ilorin.
Thank you very much.
Viewers, we have been hosting Professor Sulyman Abdulkareem, and he is the Vice Chancellor, University of Ilorin, and we have been taking his view on PEDAL and what it means for PEDAL in African higher education. My name has always been Kwesi Sam. Thanks for watching.